Messrs. Helstone and Sykes began to be extremely jocose and congratulatory with Mr. Moore when he returned to them after dismissing the deputation. He was so quiet, however, under their compliments upon his firmness, etc., and wore a countenance so like a still, dark day, equally beamless and breezeless, that the rector, after glancing shrewdly into his eyes, buttoned up his felicitations with his coat, and said to Sykes, whose senses were not acute enough to enable him to discover unassisted where his presence and conversation were a nuisance, "Come, sir, your road and mine lie partly together. Had we not better bear each other company? We'll bid Moore good morning, and leave him to the happy fancies he seems disposed to indulge." "And where is Sugden?" demanded Moore, looking up. "Ah, ha," cried Helstone. "I've not been quite idle while you were busy. I've been helping you a little, I flatter myself not injudiciously. I thought it better not to lose time, so, while you were parleying with that dull-looking gentleman Farron, I think his name is, I opened this back window, shouted to Murgatroyd, who was in the stable, to bring Mr. Sykes's gig round, then I smuggled Sugden and Brother Moses' wooden leg and all through the aperture, and saw them mount the gig, always with our good friend Sykes's permission, of course. Sugden took the reins, he drives like Jehu, and in another quarter of an hour Barraclough will be safe in Stilbroe jail." "Very good, thank you," said Moore, "and good morning, gentlemen," he added, and so politely conducted them to the door, and saw them clear of his premises. He was a taciturn, serious man the rest of the day. He did not even bandy a repartee with Joe Scott, who, for his part, said to his master only just what was absolutely necessary to the progress of business, but looked at him a good deal out of the corners of his eyes, frequently came to poke the counting-house fire for him, and once, as he was locking up for the day, the mill was then working short time, owing to the slackness of trade, observed that it was a grand evening, and he could wish Mr. Moore to take a bit of a walk up Th Hollow. It would do him good. At this recommendation Mr. Moore burst into a short laugh, and after demanding of Joe what all this solicitude meant, and whether he took him for a woman or a child, seized the keys from his hand, and shoved him by the shoulders out of his presence. He called him back, however, ere he had reached the yard gate. "Joe, do you know those Farrons? They are not well off, I suppose?" "They cannot be well off, sir, when they've not had work as a 3 month. Ye'd see yoursel at Williams sorely changed, fair paired. They've selled most OT stuff out OTH house." "He was not a bad workman?" "Ye never had a better, sir, sin ye began trade." "And decent people, the whole family?" "Niver dacenter. Th wife's a rate can't body, and is clean, ye mud eat your porridge off Th house floor. They're sorely comed down. I wish William could get a job as gardener or summat I that way, he understands gardening weel. He once lived wi' a Scotchman that taught him the mysteries o' that craft, as they say." "Now, then, you can go, Joe. You need not stand there staring at me. Ye've no orders to give, sir?" "None, but for you to take yourself off." Which Joe did accordingly. Spring evenings are often cold and raw, and though this had been a fine day, warm even in the morning and meridian sunshine, the air chilled at sunset, the ground crisped, and ere dusk a hoarfrost was insidiously stealing over growing grass and unfolding bud. It whitened the pavement in front of Briar Mains, Mr. York's residence, and made silent havoc among the tender plants in his garden, and on the mossy level of his lawn. As to that great tree, strong-trunked and broad-armed, which guarded the gable nearest the road, it seemed to defy a spring night frost to harm its still bare boughs, and so did the leafless grove of walnut trees rising tall behind the house. In the dusk of the moonless if starry night, lights from windows shone vividly. This was no dark or lonely scene, nor even a silent one. Briar Mains stood near the highway. It was rather an old place, and had been built ere that highway was cut, and when a lane winding up through fields was the only path conducting to it. Briarfield lay scarce a mile off, its hum was heard, its glare distinctly seen. Briar Chapel, a large, new, raw Wesleyan place of worship, rose but 100 yards distant, and as there was even now a prayer meeting being held within its walls, the illumination of its windows cast a bright reflection on the road, while a hymn of a most extraordinary description, such as a very Quaker might feel himself moved by the Spirit to dance to, roused cheerily all the echoes of the vicinage. The words were distinctly audible by snatches. Here is a quotation or two from different strains, for the singers passed jauntily from hymn to hymn and from tune to tune, with an ease and buoyancy all their own. Oh! Who can explain this struggle for life, this travail and pain, this trembling and strife? Plague, earthquake, and famine, and tumult and war. The wonderful coming of Jesus declare. For every fight is dreadful and loud. The warrior's delight is slaughter and blood, his foes overturning, till all shall expire. And this is with burning, and fuel, and fire. Here followed an interval of clamorous prayer, accompanied by fearful groans. A shout of "I've found liberty!" "Dodo Bill says fun liberty!" rang from the chapel, and out all the assembly broke again. What a mercy is this! What a heaven of bliss! How unspeakably happy am I! Gathered into the fold, with thy people enrolled, with thy people to live and to die. Oh, the goodness of God in employing a clod, his tribute of glory to raise, his standard to bear, and with triumph declare his unspeakable riches of grace. Oh, the fathomless love that has deigned to approve and prosper the work of my hands. With my pastoral crook I went over the brook, and behold, I am spread into bands. Who, I ask in amaze, hath begotten me these? And inquire from what quarter they came. My full-hearted replies, they are born from the skies, and gives glory to God and the Lamb. The stanza which followed this, after another and longer interregnum of shouts, yells, ejaculations, frantic cries, agonized groans, seemed to cap the climax of noise and zeal.